Tennessee gets the 24-17 win in the third Saturday in October. I should say on the third Saturday of October in Neyland Stadium. Let's be honest, guys, a little bit of an ugly game across the board for both teams, especially offensively. Tennessee outlasts Alabama, though, gets their back-to-back wins against the Tide in Neyland. Hey, if you're a Tennessee fan, you got to light them up if you got them from that perspective there. But this episode, again, guys, I'm Dave Shumate, former personnel director in college football and around the SEC, joining you here from the SEC Unfiltered channel. Cole had to be somewhere, but I will react to Tennessee outlasting Alabama and Knoxville. But this episode, guys, or this reaction, guys, is presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com and use code SECU at sign up to get, $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. I can get my eyes checked at times, guys. But specifically to this game, what is there to say about this game, guys? I mean, 24-17 final. Yeah, third down-wise, it's always a stat I like to look at. Tennessee went 7 for 15, Bama 3 for 14. So I think Bama was good in the first half defensively. Let's start off with Tennessee. I thought overall Tennessee's defense hung around, dude. Just kept them in the football game. Kept them in the football game in the first half. I mean, Tennessee was down 7 at half, gave up 3 turnovers, and missed 2 field goals. I mean, you couldn't have felt better about being down at half. This is back-to-back years that the team who's been down at half has came back and won the football game. I mean, Tennessee on defense, man, just keeps making plays. Like, just keeps their team in the game. I thought there were some plays to be had for Alabama. Alabama didn't take advantage of it. Jalen Milroe, I think, definitely had his worst game of the season this year. For sure this year. But I thought Tennessee, he was seeing ghosts. I thought in Knoxville. That's why I picked Tennessee to win this game. I didn't think Alabama was emotionally mature enough. Now, ability on paper, could they beat Tennessee? Yeah, if this game's in Bryant-Denny Stadium, Alabama may win it. But where this game was played and who and how undisciplined this Alabama team is, I didn't trust them to go win this game against a pretty good football team in Tennessee. I mean, I think both these teams are solid. Wouldn't call it great. I don't think either one of them have championship aspirations across the board here. I don't. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like when you watch both these teams, you didn't see good football teams, especially offensively. Nico, you can just tell the offense does not trust him. But again, he made some deep shots when he had to. Had to make some plays. Chris Brazzell down the stretch made some plays there for Tennessee. Dylan Sampson got going in the second half. Run game went going. How much did they go for? 214, average 5 yards a pop, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the offense made through 1 touchdown to Chris Brazzell. Was a hell of a snag. Pretty good ball there, too. That's when I felt like the momentum left for Alabama. From that perspective. But I thought Alabama's defense played really well. I thought it kept him in the game. I know that it says 24 points, but I thought the first half, if you're Alabama, if you're Kalen DeBoer, you had to be, we're only up 7-0. If you're speaking as a Kalen DeBoer, we're only up 7-0 at halftime when we had 3 turnovers and they missed they had 3 turnovers and missed 2 field goals. Like, they're not going to play like that again. And if you're Alabama, you feel like you left a lot of meat on the bone, and it was a thing in your back of your head, a thought in the back of your head that you're like, I'm terrified that could come back to haunt us. You know what? It did. Probably another score or 2 was the difference. That's what you felt like. Bama with the 2 turnovers, 2 missed opportunities, with the 2 missed Tennessee field goals. Bama should have been up 10-14, I think, at least in that first half. Give Tennessee credit, though. They made stops off bad Nico Iamaleava turnovers. Give Tim Banks and his staff credit. I thought they brought pressure. Jalen Milroe was just off, dude. On those opposite hash throws, just could not consistently get them going. Again, I thought Nico kind of turned it around in the second half. Again, I didn't think Tennessee could have played as bad as they did in the first half. And that's where, if you're Alabama, you had to feel like you left some meat on the bone. But if you're Josh Heupel in Tennessee and you went to that locker room at halftime, you'd be like, guys, I promise you, we can't play as bad as we did in the first half. Defensively, we could. Offensively and special teams, no. There's no way. It's only going to get better. So it came out and did. Was it awesome for Tennessee? No, it wasn't awesome at times in the second half. But they made more plays. Made a couple more plays than Alabama. I mean, what did Nico go? 14 for 27, 194, a touchdown and interception. Yeah, I mean, not great. Kind of been what he has been. Again, we all kind of wait for that game. Is this the second half that maybe pushes him over going to that Kentucky matchup next week? Is this kind of the game that kind of pushes him over to that maybe, potentially? I don't know. I'm just kind of asking a little bit. Or in 2 weeks. But, like, I don't know. Maybe you keep waiting for that big Nico breakout game. Complete game. First half was bad, guys. It was worse than the Florida game, in my opinion. But I thought Bama's defense was blitzing stuff. I thought Kane Womack had a good plan. Again, Alabama's secondary, folks, it was bad. It was limited on roster numbers anyways. They had 6 scholarship corners going into the year. You don't want that numbers even in a perfect year, much less when your coach retires. Caleb Downs, Trey Amos into the portal. You were going to be young, and 3 of those 6 folks, true freshmen. You were going to take your lumps on the back end. I thought the first half Bama did a really good job stopping the run. It's just, at some point, this defense isn't a great defense for Alabama, so their warts are going to show, and Tennessee took advantage of that in the second half, so you got to give Tennessee credit. I thought the second half for Alabama, they really did nothing outside of that one possession where they answered Tennessee's score to go retake the lead, and after that, they went and disappeared. I mean, you like their opening second half drive where they tried to establish the run, but Bama always just had a play on offense where they go, all right, stay ahead of the chains, or it's 5-yard penalty, false start, or Jalen Milroe would just take a bad snap or a intentional grounding. If I'm a defense coordinator for Jalen Milroe right now, and I'm saying this off him playing probably his worst game of the season. For sure, not probably. Worst game of the season. You blitz him A-gap, he's going to drop back vertically. And he sometimes doesn't get outside the pocket, or sometimes if you're for the defense, he'll take a bad sack for 10 yards, and it's 3rd and 12 now after you picked up 8 yards on first down. He commits really bad drive killers, not necessarily interceptions at times. And again, that first half interception in the end zone, bad. Jalen Milroe played bad. And again, this is an Alabama team, guys, that Jalen Milroe has to play well for them to beat good teams. That's what Tennessee is. Would I say Tennessee's a championship level team? No, absolutely not. I don't even think the people who wear the brightest of orange will tell you that. Are they enjoying their cigars tonight? They put in the chat room what cigar you're smoking tonight too, guys, by the way. I'll shout it out. But are they probably thinking, oh, man, championship team here? No, but Tennessee's a good team. They're a pretty good team right now. Defensively, they're really good. Defensively, they're a championship team. Offensively, it leaves a lot desired, but Tennessee leaves with a 24-17 win over Alabama. Again, I think this just all goes back to Alabama just leaving a lot of meat on the bone in the first half. That's kind of what I think it is. And Jalen Milroe just not playing well. I mean, it wasn't like Nico really outplayed him, just made a couple more deep shots late. Thought both defenses played pretty well, especially Tennessee's. Turnover, Alabama was what, +1 in turnover? Yeah, Bama was +1 in turnover. Again, a lot of them were in that first half. Penalties, Alabama 15, Tennessee 11, so they were both in double digits. Remember 2022, Alabama had 17, so they were getting up. Alabama just over the last, 2 years has had, like 42 penalties in this game? Almost. 32 penalties in the last 2 games at Knoxville. That's rough, man. Bama had 2 turnovers themselves. Like I said, they were +1 in turnover margin. Really not much in the second half. If you're an Alabama fan, you'd like to see them take advantage of that more in the second half. I mean, so more so in the first half, get more points on the board there. But they didn't. They just got nothing going, really. I mean, they really didn't. I mean, they got the touchdown, the big play to Ryan Williams, but then 3 plays punt. I mean, Jay Miller run for 4 yards here. This is the 3rd drive. Pass complete. So it's 3rd and 2, and you throw a ball, 3rd and 2, you got a punt. Again, I don't know why you wouldn't lean on the run there a little bit. I didn't really like Kalen DeBoer either going for it that late in the game on 4th and 22. I think he probably pumped there. I don't know if it really mattered. I still think Alabama was going to lose the football game. But, overall, they just did not take advantage of it. And Tennessee did. You got to give Tennessee credit. They played it. They got better in the second half. They played the better football game in the second half. And if you're Alabama, you just got to go back, watch the film back. We had our chances in the first half. That's where we should have put them away. Again, I don't think you were blowing Tennessee out because Tennessee's defense is too good. But you could have been up 14, maybe even 17, 10 to 17 points at half. And I know Tennessee blew a 13-point lead last year in Bryant-Denny. So it's possible Tennessee could have came back. But maybe that extra score was just enough to win this game. Yeah, that's where you're a little frustrated. Like, that's the first game you watch the offense, you're like, yeah, you just didn't get it done. This team just doesn't play complementary football, man. One weekend, the Alabama offense will play well, and the defense hasn't been. And today, the defense played well enough to win. The offense didn't. Talking about Tennessee, I think a manageable schedule down the stretch here, though, guys. I mean, you think about it, Tennessee's got a lot to improve on. Again, I don't think this is a championship team, but this is definitely a playoff team. From an ability standpoint and schedule, you're off next week, then you host Kentucky on November 2nd, Mississippi State on November 9th, at Georgia, UTEP, and at Vandy. I mean, if you win all three of Kentucky, Mississippi State at home, and at Vanderbilt, which is doable. You should at least get two, with two of them being at home. You lose to Georgia, you're 10-2, you're probably in the playoffs. So that's how big of a win that was. I think Tennessee needed this game more than Alabama from a schedule standpoint. I still saw something. Alabama's a 49% chance to make it. Again, if Bama won out, they're probably in. But I think Bama's got a tough matchup against Missouri at home next week, who maybe have figured some stuff out offensively in the fourth quarter. Again, this Alabama against Auburn. Alabama is not good enough. Anybody in the SEC probably outside of Mississippi State can beat Alabama this year the way they play. I mean, they didn't put a complete football game together. They put a complete half against Georgia, like we all know and talked about, but never since then. But never since then. But if I'm Tennessee, got to be fired up about Nico making some plays when he had to in the fourth. Now, did he get some help in Nick Brazel? Yeah, absolutely. But again, that's what you rely on your playmakers to make plays in these games. Got the run game going. It feels like that's something you've been able to lean on in every game so far. Now, some were better than others, but again, they finally got that game going. I mean, they finally got the run game going against Alabama in the second half. The numbers will say it. I don't think Alabama was as bad against the run as the numbers will say, but they did not shut Tennessee down in the second half performance. 214 yards. I mean, Alabama's 64 is what Tennessee's front held. Literally, that was the difference. That was the difference in the game. Bama was 33, 18 minutes to 26-41 in possession. This game just came down to Alabama not taking advantage in the first half, and Tennessee's defense not totally breaking off some really bad turnovers from the Tennessee offense. That's where if you like Tennessee this year, you're a little bit like, man, imagine if you had a really good offense with this defense. Again, I think Tennessee's offense would be scoring a little more, put the defense on the field a little bit, so the numbers wouldn't be as, but still, Tennessee's got a championship defense. They do. They got a championship defense and a very mid to below average offense. To say shocker of the day, though, what surprised me the most about this game, probably a little combo of how bad Jalen Milroe played. I didn't think Alabama would go put a bunch of points on Tennessee. Definitely more than they did, 17. I thought they'd be in probably the mid-20s, high 20s. I thought Tennessee would win this game 34-27 is what I said going into it. I thought the first to 30 was going to win. And I was probably surprised a little bit how well Alabama played defensively. I thought Tennessee was going to – probably Tennessee's defense playing as well. I thought they were going to play well because I thought they were going to be good going into the year. Figured Nico wouldn't totally turn it around, but he was rough in the first half, man. He was rough. So probably the two bigger surprises was how bad Jalen Milroe played, and Alabama's defense probably playing a little better than I thought. Different game plan. They came after him. Give Kane Womack and them credit. But again, they're not totally at a fault. They didn't make some key third downs when they had opportunities in the second half. I mean, Tennessee wasn't great on third down in the first half, but ended 7 for 15. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. So looking forward to Tennessee, you got to feel good about your schedule coming up. Kentucky, Mississippi State at home. Those are two you should get at home if you're a college football playoff team. You could drop one at Georgia, but then you got to go handle Vandy, which you feel like you could on the road. Feel pretty good about making the playoffs at 10-2 if you're Tennessee. For Alabama, you got to go back to the drawing board. All your goals, well, I shouldn't say all your goals and aspirations. Yes, the SEC championship, which I'm assuming is a goal, is out the window. You're not going to be competing in Atlanta for the SEC championship unless it gets really wacky. Never say never, but it would have to get really wacky. Playoffs are still in front of you, but you have no more get-out-of-jail-free cards. It's over. And I think you got a sleepy one coming to town next week in Missouri. That game will either be in the afternoon or night at Bryant-Denny. But Missouri's still in the playoff hunt, too. So it's another big one in the SEC. It's like Alabama, maybe the better team here against Tennessee overall. Just overall, if you maybe pick on a neutral field, maybe I trust Alabama a little more. But they weren't the better team tonight. They left a lot of meat on the bone. Tennessee, back-to-back wins in Neyland. If you're a Tennessee fan, you got to smoke them if you got them. Didn't see anybody put any cigars they had in here. But, guys, with it being solo dolo, I'm not going to go as long, the 25, 30 minutes being Cole usually go. I'm going to go about that 15-minute mark so we can get back and watching some of these other watching the Texas-Tennessee game, Texas-Georgia game, Kentucky-Florida, got Arkansas-LSU rolling on. We got a lot of good SEC matchups on tonight. So I didn't want to keep rambling. I just wanted to get right to it and tell you that's what I thought was the difference. Bama left a lot of meat on the bone in the first half. They're up 10-17 like they probably should have been off those 3 turnovers and 2 missed kicks at Tennessee. We may be singing a different tune here, but give Tennessee's defense credit. We're going to keep them in every game, guys. That's a championship-level defense. Tennessee's got to get the offense going, but that was a must-win pretty much for both Alabama and Tennessee. Playoff hope's still alive for both, but Tennessee had to have this one because of the schedule. You feel pretty good about the Vols making the playoffs. You really do. Bama, got to get back to the drawing board next week. Penalties, undisciplined. I don't think you're mentally tough to go win an environment like that. That's why I picked Tennessee at home, like Kirk Herbstreit said on game day. That was the difference. Tennessee, 24-17 win. Guys, I appreciate you joining us on this reaction. We'll have 2 more, LSU, Arkansas, and then Georgia, Tennessee as well. Maybe if Kentucky, Florida gets a little wild, we may go into that one, guys. But again, this reaction is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com. Use code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup, guys. For Dave Shumate and the SEC Unfiltered channel, hey, let's have a hell of a night, guys. We got a lot of good matchups on the slate. I'll see you in a bit.